Hello! In this video, we'll take a look at some additional features that this GUI will provide. I have the GUI up and running now, but if there's any questions on how to do so, or if there are any questions on any of the basic plotting features, then I'd suggest that you watch my previous video, which discusses both of these points. For now, let's just focus our attention to the Literature Params tab here, which will provide specific parameters corresponding to certain papers. I shall preface that not all qubits have a drop-down menu with papers attached to it, but in the case for transmon, we do have some papers, and let's choose the one by Peck et al. And doing so will result in a few things. First being that the plot has indeed changed. Going back to the main tab does show that the parameters have updated to the ones given in the paper. Not only that, but a link to the paper has also been provided. Clicking through will result in that corresponding paper. Now, we change the parameters to differ from what's given in the papers. Then notice that it goes back to the manual mode as expected. With that, I want to take a look at the Param Ranges tab, which gives the user the ability to change the ranges for the parameter sliders or for certain plot options. For example, let's say that with this plot here, the phi range goes from -pi to pi. Let's say I wanted to go from 0 to pi instead. I can change the minimum value for the phi here to be 0 instead, and I have the plot to update accordingly. Let's also state that the number of states given here is a little too much. Let's say I just want it from 0 to 7 instead. I can go to the Param Ranges tab here, change the maximum to 7 instead, and going back here, I can indeed see that it's changed to 7. So with that, you can do a whole lot of other stuff with other sliders or other plot options for the other plots. But what I want to do is move on to another useful feature, which is the ability to change parts of the plot even further by using the figure and axes provided by the GUI. Now, to access these features, we first need to define a variable. That in my instance, I have it as test using scq.gui. What this allows for us to do is to extract the figure and axes by accessing the attribute called fig_x, as what's shown here. If I now run this cell, then both the fig and x should now be populated by both the figure and axes respectively. Just to show this, let me add a cell right below here. And running fig will result in the same figure as above, and running x will show the axes. Now, with these figure and axes at hand, we can change a lot of stuff. For instance, let's say that we want to create a title for our plot that's up here. To do so, we can actually use the setTitle function provided by the axes. And in this case, I have it to just be the transmon wave function. And running this cell will both set the title, and running fig will show the updated figure. And that's what we end up seeing here. If you want to save this newly updated plot, then all we have to do is call the savefig function from the figure, and I'll have it as plot2.pdf. And running that will save it to the same location that's provided here. Now, let me open that up just to show that it has indeed been saved. And we can see that we have the plot with the updated title that is shown there. Now, with all this, there's one other option that I want to note, which is the backend for Matplotlib that we can use. Now, I have it to be inline right now, but there is another option, and this option will provide a more interactive output. Now, to do so, to access this, we just have to change the Matplotlib backend to being widget instead, and to make sure that it runs correctly, I will just restart and clear output. Now it's important that we restart the kernel, otherwise the interactive output that the backend provides will not be visible. So let me run these two cells. And doing so will result in a different output as shown here, where we can adjust the size of the plot. We can also move this plot around. We can also look at a specific part of the plot. There's a whole lot of other features. If you want to change back to the original view, then just click on this home button here. Now, with that concludes the overview of the additional features provided by the GUI. And again, I hope that this was useful.